Alrighty then.
Excellent. So, first of all, Chris, thank you so much for giving your time to be here. I always love having conversations with you, and I know when we do, it's always meaningful and it's always on a level of not surface, but actually the core of who we are. And so I love
Mm.
just sitting and chatting with you and bringing up some good stuff. So thank you.
Well, I feel the same way.
I
Isn't
love
that a
you too.
coincidence? What a coincidence.
Isn't it? Cool. We're going to open it up, and I actually want you to share your story, who you are, why you do what you do.
Okay. Yeah. So you want like the short, medium, or long version?
Let's go short, and then I'll dig deeper if I feel things need to be shared.
Okay, got it. So my journey is all about when I was 27, I got to where I thought I wanted to be in life, and it sucked. I was 27 and I had already built and sold my first company. I was the CEO of my second company, just raised $500,000 from investors, had 25 people working for me. We were about to raise another $2 million. I had the fancy car. And on top of that, I was dating the girl that I was positive I was going to marry, like without a doubt. So, on paper, I was living the dream. And I had this realization that, I had all these things that I thought I wanted, and I was completely unhappy. I was unhappy and unfulfilled. And that was how people have like their midlife crisis?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was my quarter life crisis. Because I was like, man, I've sacrificed so much to get to this point because I thought it would make me happy. And I realized I was chasing someone else's dream. And the big realization that I had is that I had spent my whole life listening to my head rather than my heart, and chasing money and status rather than happiness and fulfillment and passion and all those different things. And so I made a promise to myself in that moment. I said, from now on, I'm going to start following my heart. I'm going to stop listening to my head. I'm going to start following my heart. And I started meditating and reading and writing and journaling and doing all these different things to really connect with myself. And then one day, my heart said, it's time to break up with your girlfriend. And this is the girl that I thought I was going to marry for sure. And so I broke up with her. She grabbed her keys and she walked out the door. And it's a moment I remember vividly because it's what changed my life more than anything. So when that door closed, my entire future disappeared. Like everything just disappeared. And it was such an uncomfortable feeling. Like, the analogy I use, it's like, imagine walking to the edge of a cliff and looking down, and there's no bottom, just this endless like nothingness.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt when that door closed, because I had everything planned with her. And so in this moment of nothingness, I felt two things. I felt terror because I was just like, oh my God, what I do? But then I also felt complete and total freedom because it means I can do anything. And so in that state of like not knowing what to do, I closed my eyes, put my hands on my heart, and I asked God, the universe, whatever you believe in, what's next? And before I could even finish the word next, my heart said India. And so I opened my eyes and I said, all right, I'm moving to India. And immediately my mind was like, what the heck? Like, are you crazy? Like, you don't like traveling. That's a 24-hour flight. It's hot. You hate being hot. You hate sweating. You're a germ freak. It can be really dirty in different parts of India. Like, what in the world are you thinking? So my mind completely just panicked and freaked out. I told myself, like, I'm going to listen to my heart. So 6 months later, I gave away all my stuff and I bought a one-way ticket to Nepal. My plan was to be gone for 3 months. And it actually ended up being 3 years. So I lived in Nepal at a yoga meditation retreat, traveled through Myanmar, lived in Thailand for 2 years, lived in Bali. And through all of that, just following my heart, listening to my intuition. And in that time, I discovered my passion. I started my coaching business. I coached hundreds of people one-on-one. I created my own personal development brand and product. And I just got back to the US a few months ago. And now I'm here.
I love it. I love it. And I've caught the end of you coming back as well, because started to work together at the start.
Yeah.
And it was just hearing your vision, helping you get there. Like, it's enthusiasm. Like, it's like, I was just so in love. And this is what I share with social media and branding, the message. Like, I was like, I'm rallying behind Chris. Like, I'm there for you, like 110, because the message you share is just so positive. So, and I guess this is why I wanted to bring you on, to share your wisdom with my community and help shift perspective. So yes, I love it.
And the interesting thing, I didn't mention this in the story, is when I started coaching all these people, like I launched my coaching business in Bali. and I coached 100 people one-on-one in my first 8 weeks, which that's a lot of one-on-one coaching. And at the end of those 100 people, I realized, wait, everyone's struggling between their head and their heart. I call it your sheep and your lion.
Yeah.
But we're all struggling with that. It wasn't just me. And the crazy thing is I started coaching all these people and I realized I'm telling them all the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, follow your heart, it will work out. And, people started businesses, they took these massive leaps of faith and had these amazing miracles happen. But I realized we are all struggling with the same thing. It's just a battle between listening to our heart, listening to our head, our lion and our sheep. And I think that's a massive thing that's going on right now. You can see it everywhere. People are either listening to love or they're listening to fear.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, hold that thought. I want to come back to that. Very, very, hold that. Those that are jumping on and those that are re-watching this live, if you resonate with this, comment below. We want to know who you are, because we're also on a mission to build a tribe that are very heart-driven and soul-centered, to want to actually provide service and help others. So comment below if this resonates with you. Stay engaged, because I want you guys to be able to take away at least one thing, and it can add something to your life and provide value. I know, Chris, I'm going to speak on your behalf, but we just want to add value to people's lives, right?
Heck yeah.
And the more results that people get, the more excited we get. It's like a crazy fulfillment. It's mad. Awesome. Okay. There's a couple of things you said inside that, and I want to come back to chasing someone's dream. How do you know when you're chasing someone else's dream? Because I really resonate with that.
Yeah. Well, I think that, especially in the US, like, we are taught to follow one person's dream, which is go to school, get good grades so you can go to college, so you can, get a good job, this good corporate job, so you can make enough money to buy a car and buy a house and get married and then have 2.5 kids and have the white picket fence and then work till you're 60 and then finally, go, travel and be on the beach. And that's the American dream, right? That's the dream we're all sold. And it's hard to avoid that because we see it everywhere. Like success equals money, status equals success, all these different things. So, we end up, that dream, one person lived that life and it was their dream life and it was amazing for them. The problem is that one person's dream life was now sold to all of us. As if we are that person. But the thing is, the problem is we are all completely unique human beings. We all have different fingerprints than anyone on this planet and anyone that has ever existed and anyone that ever will exist, which means we have our own dream life, but we're sold one specific dream life and we chase that. And that's exactly what I was doing. I was 27 and my only goal was to become a multimillionaire so I could have the houses and the Lamborghini and the status, and then I would be happy. That's when I'd be happy, because that's the American dream. And, I was so lucky that I had this awakening before I sacrificed, everything, because I had already sacrificed so much before I got there.
Yeah.
But luckily I was able to have enough self-awareness to realize there's something wrong, because I should be really happy and fulfilled, but I'm miserable.
Yeah.
And when you feel that, like, we all can feel when we're happy, when we're fulfilled, when we're passionate about what we're doing. And we can feel when we're in alignment with who we are, because it energizes us. So I think one of the biggest ways that you can see if you're living someone else's dream is your life energizing you or is it de-energizing you?
Oh my gosh.
Or is it draining you of energy?
Oh, can I rehash that?
Heck yeah, you can.
Okay, so those that are jumping on and taking notes, because you must be a nerd like us, take notes.
I'm not a nerd, I'm cool. Hello.
I'm a nerd. I'm like pen and paper all the time. So from the question I asked you, how do you know if you're chasing someone else's dream? Because I think you also jumped into my life at the time where I was chasing someone's dream, and now this awakening of the shift and the change of the world, I'm slowly coming through to the other side. And what you just said kind of epitomizes what I'm feeling. So your dream life, chasing someone else's dream life, to be your own person, and you're being your own person when you feel fully energized, and it's a heck yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's like your life, everything in life is either giving you energy or taking energy from you. The people, the food that you eat, the environment that you're in, the work that you do, all of it. And so the key is getting aware to what it feels like to be doing what you're doing. Like, is this giving me energy? Is this energizing me right now? Or is this draining me right now?
Yeah.
And the thing is, most people are going through life and they're drained, right?
Yeah.
It's like, think about it. When we're little kids, we're so excited. We hate going to sleep and we can't wait to wake up. We're full of energy all the time. We're passionate. We're excited. And then as we get older, we start to lose that energy. And then as we get older, it's like our favorite time of the day is going to sleep. And we
Yeah.
hate waking up in the morning, which is why we hit the snooze button 10 times. So there's something wrong. It's, we've shifted from, living our dream, which is what we were doing when we were kids, fully self-expressed, confident, doing whatever the heck we wanted, to going to school, which is just like a sheep factory. It teaches you need to be this way, you need to think this way, you need to do that. So we start to lose ourselves. And then you go through college, and then you go, to corporate America. And by the time, you're in your mid-20s or even sooner than that, you are completely disconnected from who you really are. So life is exhausting because you're walking around, you're not being the person that you were born to be, you're not doing the work that you love, that you were actually born to do, and you're not making the difference in the world that you were born to make. So you're literally walking around suppressing the life that you were born to live in order to look good, or because someone taught you that's what you should be doing. And we all know if things are not right.
Yeah.
Right? You know it.
Yeah.
But for a lot of us, we don't have the answer. We don't understand how to get out of it. And so we look at it like, well, it's not that bad.
I can justify it with this.
Yeah. But you can look at society, like escapism is a huge thing, at least in the US. People are binge watching Netflix. They're eating crap food. They are smoking weed. They're drinking alcohol.
Drugs,
they're doing
partying.
video games. Yeah, anything that they can do to escape themselves and their life. And most people won't take the time to actually stop and understand, like, wait, what's actually going on? Why am I doing this? Because it hurts inside when you feel how disconnected you are.
Yes. If anyone's coming up with questions, keep it in your mind. Drop the comments below. And I'm just going to always just come back to our audience, because I want you guys to ask questions on how this is going to relate to your life. Because I know it's easier said than done. But when you start engaging and interacting, you're actually opening. What I've found in my life is when you start asking for help and asking questions, you start to break the limits and you start to open the doors to possibilities. And it's just those questions, right? That's all that it takes, is just a question to get you started.
Yeah, but most people are scared of that because one question can rock your entire world. It can change your whole future. And if you start asking enough questions, you get really uncomfortable because you realize, shit, I'm not living the life that I'm meant to live. And at that point, once you have that realization, you're now at a fork in the road. So it's like, you have to make a choice. I'm either going to keep living this life that I hate and end up miserable in the future. I call that, a tragic life, because it's life full of regret and frustration, versus going after the life of your dreams, which is what I call an epic life, which is full of passion and fulfillment. And
excellent.
So it's like, you always have a choice to live this tragic life, this epic life, or I also say a life that's going to retire you, or a life that's going to inspire you.
Yes.
Because when you do it for your love, you're inspired. Yes. And when you're not, you get retired, right? You turn 60 and you're like, okay, finally I can retire, but I have no energy. I don't even want to go to the beach, because if I do, I'm going to stay in the hotel all day because I have no energy. Life literally retired me.
Oh, hopefully that's enough to satisfaction for people to wake up and to know. I'm hoping. But again, which then is going to be my next question, which is listening to yourself. How do you know? What's the difference? Because you said, you close your eyes, you said, okay, universe, God, Buddha, Allah, whoever you believe in, what's my next move? When you sat in that space in silence, I think there's so much power in silence. How did you know it was guidance rather than influence and the devil or negative thoughts just trying to turn you into a different direction?
Yeah. Well, when I do that, like, I have gotten to a point, and I got to a point then because I had done meditation and journaling, and I really started to get to know myself. But I know when my head is speaking and when my heart is speaking, because when your head speaks, it comes from a place of force. Like, you should do this, you shouldn't do that, and it will give you all these reasons. Versus your heart, this is your inner knowing. There are no words. There's just this deep knowing. We've all felt that before. We've all felt this intuitive pull or instinct or whatever you want to call it. Everyone has a different name for it. But when something's just not right. You know, if you're in a relationship and you just know, you know, deep down inside that it's just not right, or this job, or, you know, you meet someone and you could just feel like, ooh, there's something off, right? Or you meet
Yeah.
someone and you totally click and you're just like, there's something totally right.
Yeah.
You know, it's all that intuitive feeling. And that's the thing, is we were born with that. And it was one of our greatest gifts. That's our GPS system. But we went through school and they taught us how to guide our lives with our head rather than our heart, to be
Yeah.
logical, to do the smart thing. This is what you should do. This is what you shouldn't do. And so
Yeah.
we became disconnected from our own internal guidance system. And we plugged into this universal guidance system called the mind, and what you should do. And so people are walking around shooting all over themselves, and then they live a super inauthentic life, totally inauthentic.
Yeah.
But they know, right? Like, all, you know, the people that might be watching this and they're thinking about their job right now, you know, right now you can feel it in your gut, like, this job is not for me. I know it. Yeah. But your mind will say, yeah, but it pays so good.
Yeah.
You know, how are you going to afford your BMW payments? You know, how are you going to live in this apartment if you quit your job, right? So it's going to justify and talk you out of it. And that's what we do all the time. We spend most of our time talking ourselves out of listening to our heart, because we live in a society where listening to your heart is ridiculous. That's too woo-woo.
It's too woo-woo. Yeah. It's
Exactly.
too crazy.
Right. It's too crazy. But then you look at the world and 80% of people hate their jobs.
Yeah. And hate what they
Something's
do.
wrong. Exactly.
Our suicide, I don't even know the numbers for the suicide rate, but I know it's ridiculous.
Yeah, there should be no suicide. If you were living the life of your dreams, suicide would literally disappear.
Yeah.
Instantly.
And I believe when you give yourself permission, you give others permission as well to be themselves.
Yeah, totally. But we
And
just live in
that,
this world.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that should be enough to want to move you forward. And I guess it comes to that service and your values and realigning that. So
Yeah. And we just live in this world where we were trained to chase money and status and fame and all these different things. And it's like, what would this world look like if we were, instead of trained to chase money, we were trained to chase our own greatness? It's like, what if you were conditioned from the time you were a little kid to being an adult that you are completely unique? There is some kind of work that you're meant to do in this world that you're better than anyone else at. And there's a specific life that you're meant to live. And there is a difference that you're meant to make in the world that no one else can make, because you are completely unique and you have greatness inside of you. You were literally born with greatness inside of you. And I think we could do that. I think we can change the world and shift that, you know, people go from chasing money to chasing their own greatness. And if we do that, everything changes.
okay, I'm going to ask a real ballsy question. Because it's kind of like a belief, and it kind of like is a yes or no. And do you believe, from your perspective, what you've seen going through life and traveling and everything else, do you believe that everyone was born to help people, that we were all meant to be in service?
Absolutely.
Why?
Well, if you just look at nature, right? We're part of nature. If you go into a forest, every single creature, from the smallest ant to a freaking elephant, they all play their role in life, right?
Yes.
They all work together because, for example, in a jungle, in a rainforest, if there were no ants, the jungle floor would, you know, overflow and it would kill off, you know, most of the tree life and all that kind of stuff. And the jungle wouldn't actually be able to exist without ants, because they clean the floor, you know, of, you know, they eat all the dead things, they do all that kind of stuff. And so it's like there's this circle of life, like Lion King, right? But seriously, there's a circle of life and everything works together perfectly. You go into nature and it works together perfectly. The only time it stops working is when humans come in and then we screw shit up. And so we are part of nature. So for me, from my perspective, it's like we were born to contribute to this world in our own unique way. And if we did that, then life would flow just like nature flows. But we resist that. We resist our greatness. We resist our destiny. We resist our purpose, and we chase money. And so there's no flow in humanity. There's just conflict and anger and frustration. You know, there are amazing things, but most of it is just shit. You know, it's imagine if like an ant was like, you know what? I'm not gonna like, I'm not gonna do my job. I want
Yeah.
to be a monkey. I'm gonna go start trying to climb trees, and if every ant did that, the forest floor would get destroyed, and then everyone would die, right? But nature, it knows its place because
Yeah.
nature is pure instinct. It's pure intuition. There's no thought that exists. They are just completely
Mm.
in a total state of flow. The only thing that
Mm.
separates us from them is we have this big brain that knows how to think too much, and this is
Yeah.
what stops us from being in flow. But when you do what you love, when you do what you were born to do in your own unique way, you step into that state of flow,
Yeah.
and you can feel it because it energizes you. You get chills, like it's what you were
Oh,
born to do. Like a
I
bird was
love
born to
that.
fly.
Yes. And you just keep coming back to that. So energization, like I guess it's a good, and you said it, your GPS, your emotional system is your GPS, right? And that
Mm,
energization, when you feel that way, it's like kind of like that knowingness that you're on the right path
yeah.
and it's all clicking together.
And the great thing is you get
Oh,
hints,
yeah.
right? So when you have the courage to follow that intuition and take that, that leap of faith, which could be massive, like me giving
Mm,
away all my stuff, downsizing my company and moving to a third world country, or it could be minimal, it could be something really tiny, like, you know what, I'm gonna go for a walk today, something simple like that.
yeah.
What happens when you follow that intuition is the universe or God or whatever you believe in, it sends you signs or signals that you're on the right path, right? You might go for a walk and you meet this person who just so happens to love what you love, and they've got this event going on Friday, and they invite you to it, and then you go meet your next new best friend or your future husband or wife or your next business partner. It's like it's always there, but most people, they don't have really the courage to follow their heart because it can be tricky. There's been a lot of times where I followed my heart. I almost died once, like crazy stuff has happened. But that's part of the journey, right? I want to look back on my life when I'm like on my deathbed and be like, holy shit, I lived life to the fullest.
Full.
And if this was a book, I would have been excited to read it because I didn't play it safe.
I didn't play it safe. I love that. Is it okay if I share a story?
Yeah, yeah.
And hopefully those that jump on and also jump in and listening, the story resonates back to what you just said, which is the signs and signals to say that you're on the right path. And you said, you can
Mm,
go to this event, da, 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 and then you can meet the love of your life. And it's so funny you say that. And I haven't shared this story, but Cal and I, my partner for 2 years, we broke up last year in November. And you're right, it's the scariest thing that I had to do. But I knew I had to do, but I did it in such a way where it was like, okay, this is what I want. What do you want? And it was just a
mm.
natural progression of just splitting. Now we're
So
not,
I have to
yeah,
ask you a question. So you were
go.
together for 2 years and you said you just knew, right? So what was that knowing? That was your intuition, or what would you describe that as?
I should have broken up with him 6 months prior.
Got it.
So when I
But you
first
just
met
knew in
him,
your heart?
yeah. Oh yeah. Like I was
Got it.
just like, it was, yeah, you're right. It was like, and I love that knowingness. And it's just like, and you're constantly battling. Like
Mm,
that's what it is. And it's that de-energization because I'm just like in this motion of battling. Do I, don't I, do I, don't I, should I?
mm.
My family likes him, so I should. I
Yep.
love his family, so I should.
Yep.
When really I just, yeah, by the end of it, we just got to a point and it was like done.
Mm,
And it was natural. And I liked how
mm,
we just parted. However, what the signs and signals was, that was the first major stepping off and taking a leap of faith. And in my mind, that belief system was, I'm going to be alone forever. Crazy, not true,
mm.
but that's where the fear takes me. And then I remember I was in Christmas. I was planning my trip and I was going to go to mum's, and which is the South Island. My dad's is the North Island. And I was just going to go to mum's. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go to the North Island. All of a sudden I changed my mind. I was like, look, doesn't matter about money. I'll just make it happen. So I flew up to Whangarei. I spent time with my family. I reconnected with a friend, Jamie, by the way, from the Bali retreat last year in October.
Uh,
He went round to his for dinner and he said, I have a friend that's coming to join us. And we literally have still been together. What are we now? It's almost 3 months. And how the universe has brought me back to New Zealand. And now we're together actually in person instead of doing long distance, right?
wow.
Signs and signals.
It's perfect. And that one little choice you made to change your plans literally change your entire future. And that's what people really have to get. Like, you are always one single choice away from a completely different future.
Mm.
Every single choice you make, you are literally restructuring your future in a completely new way, because some of the smallest choices have the biggest impacts on your future.
Yes.
It's like when you wake up tomorrow morning, changes your entire future. You know, what you eat changes your entire future. You can go out to a restaurant and decide to eat one thing over another thing, and then you get food poisoning and you go to the hospital, but then you actually meet your future husband because he's the doctor. You know, like you have
Yeah.
there's infinite possibilities for what your future can become.
Yeah.
But when you start listening to your heart, you start to get on the path that God, the universe, whatever created for you, your destiny. I call it your destiny. Like, I
Yeah.
believe that we were all born with a gift and a purpose that was meant to be shared with the world. And when you align with that, life takes you towards your destiny. But it's that one little choice. Like you made that
Yeah.
one shift, that one
Yeah.
choice to,
Yeah.
I'm going to go do this instead. You could have never predicted this. You could have never planned this. You didn't know this guy existed. And
No.
now you are, you're in New Zealand, which you could have never planned that.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. Imagine if I said, no, let's not be together because I can't do long distance. And here I am, it's March 20 and I'm in New Zealand.
Right. Totally.
Crazy, crazy. So I'm going to switch it up now and I want to start asking how. How can we choose between that lifestyle? Like, what's that choice? Like, and you know, you're taking me through the lion and the sheep. And I think that's been the biggest perspective. I even took my friend through the lion and the sheep to help her
Mm.
understand that concept. How do we choose?
So the first thing you have to do is you have to get clear on who you are
Mm.
and who you're not. That's really,
Mm.
really important because, you know, I say that, you know, we all have like half of us is the lion, half of us is the sheep, you know, our
Yeah.
head, our heart, our ego, our soul, whatever you want to call it.
Mm.
But the first thing you have to do is you have to be able to identify them, because if you can't identify them, you don't know who's talking to you. You know, if you're not really connected to your heart and that intuitive emotion, that feeling, that gut instinct, if you're not connected to that, then you have to actually give yourself a tool so you can choose properly. So the first step is identifying it. So you have to be able to look at, okay, my sheep, you know, what are words that describe my sheep? You know, for me, it's
Mm.
controlling, insecure,
Mm.
judgmental,
Mm.
you know, all these different things, scared. And so for me, I know, you know, one thing, for example, because I have that awareness of, you know, my mind or my sheep is controlling, every time I start to get controlling and I feel anxiety because I can't control the situation, that triggers this level of awareness of, oh, wait, that's not me. That's my mind just
Ah.
trying to control things.
Yeah.
That's my sheep, you know, trying to get things to be the way I want it to be so it can be perfect, you know, whatever it is. And so that first step is building a level of self-awareness by actually identifying your sheep. So what I have everyone do is I have them write down 4 words that describe your inner sheep,
Mm.
you know, and everyone has, you know, a different combination of 4 words. But when you realize that you're actually not controlling, you're not insecure, you're not judgmental, you're not lazy, you're not all these different things, that's who you were trained to be. That's who you were
Yes.
conditioned to be. You were
Yes.
conditioned to be insecure. You were conditioned to be controlling. When we're little kids, we're not insecure at all. We run around naked. We pee wherever we want. We say whatever we want. Like we are completely confident in who we are. And we don't give a shit what anyone thinks of us, right? And
Yeah.
then people start saying, you shouldn't do that. You can't do that. Don't do that. And then we start to get
Yeah.
insecure because they're saying who you are being is not enough.
Yeah.
And then we're trained with love. You know, when we learn very young that love is not unconditional, because our parents train us with love. If we do what they want, they give us love. If we do what they
Mm.
don't want, they take love away. So at a very young age, we are programmed that in order to be loved, I need to be who everyone else wants me to be. So you end up being this sheep, this inauthentic version of yourself. You run around life trying to be who you think you need to be for everyone to like you.
Yeah.
And you end
Yeah.
up living this completely inauthentic life. But if you understand that my sheep, who's insecure, judgmental, lazy, you know, controlling, whatever, that's not me. That's who I was trained to be.
Yeah.
I learned to be insecure because of watching TV or, you know, reading magazines or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I learned to be controlling because I had no control when I was a kid because my parents dominated me all the time. So I had
Yeah.
to be controlling. And so when you realize that, you could start to let go of it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. You've just said like a word that just keeps coming through to me. Love. Love Is love the core essence?
I think so. Like if you look at, if you look at energy and vibration, the highest vibration that a human being can feel is love. The lowest vibration is
Mm,
fear. So
mm,
fear is actually the opposite of love, because we live in this world of relativity. There's light, dark, hot, cold, left,
yep.
right, and there's love and fear.
Yeah.
And so we walk around being these, imitations of ourselves because we are fearful that people won't love us if we're our true selves.
Mm, yeah.
But I think, my definition of love has always been 100% acceptance. Like when you love someone, you accept them for exactly who they are and exactly who they're not. Which
Ah.
is like when you fall in love with someone, you love everything about them, right? The stuff that would normally annoy you, it's like, oh my God, it's so cute. It's amazing, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah.
total acceptance. And you are head over
Yeah.
heels completely in love.
Yeah.
Then a couple months go by and then you start to get annoyed. Those things that you thought were cute are now annoying the shit out of you. And then you think
Mm,
like, oh, we're falling out of love. The honeymoon phase is over. But really,
mm.
it's just you stopped accepting who they were and you started resisting who they were because they aren't being who you want them to be. And so this is the foundation of it all, but it's like love is the core because that's the highest vibration we can feel. That is like, there's no other better emotion or vibration than love. Like that's the God vibration.
Ah, so true.
And in
I
this
was,
world right now, you can see what's happening. There are people in the world right now who are choosing love right now with
mm,
coronavirus and all this stuff. And there are people who are choosing fear. You can
mm,
see what fear does. You go to the grocery stores, there's no
mm,
food. Every
empty.
restaurant's closed. People are panicking. The stock market's crashing because they're coming
Mm,
from fear. But
mm,
then there are people who are coming from love. They're going outside. They're going to parks. They're meeting up with people. They're going and sitting at Starbucks and they're having conversations. They're meeting new people because they're choosing love, which is a different
mm.
vibration. And if you really get into vibration, coronavirus, sickness, illness is on a very low vibration. And so you'll attract it. If you come from a place of fear, which is down
Yeah,
here, then you are much more likely to attract, an illness or a virus because it's also on a low vibration. If
yeah,
you're coming from a place of love and your vibration's up here, you're untouchable.
yeah. Oh,
So,
okay, let's switch it up. We'll switch it up a notch.
uh-oh.
So let's tap into this. And I did say to you, like, I want us to go here, and I do want the community as well to know that what we're about to talk about, we're no health experts or economical experts, or we're not experts in this field. We're experts in encouraging and inspiring people to choose, and to choose a life that is mediocre or extraordinary. And
Mm,
obviously, we step in every day, we choose to step into our power. So we want others to do the same. So we're choosing, which then brings me to this point of the coronavirus. It is going to have such an impact on the world. And we don't know how long we're all going to sit here for.
mm.
But the length that we're in here, we get to choose. What's your perspective on this?
Choice is everything. It's what separates us from animals. Like, they don't get to choose, it's instinct, right?
Mm,
If I took a piece of bacon and dropped it on the floor, a dog's going to run over and eat it without thinking about it. A
mm.
human is going to stop and think, wait, hold on. It fell on the floor. Is it dirty?
Dirty.
I'm working on my freaking swimsuit body for this summer. Do I really need to have bacon? Right? We have that gap of presence that allows us to make a choice. So choice is absolutely everything. It's the most powerful thing, that we can have if we use it the right way. The problem is most people are making choices that disempower them. And so from my perspective, every single choice you make is either coming from your mediocre self, your sheep, or your greatest self, your lion. And
Mm,
right now, when you look at this world, you're either choosing fear or you're choosing love.
yeah.
And, you know, the thing that people have to realize is what you're really choosing is your perspective.
Mm,
Because your perspective, how you see things, creates how you think about things, which creates how you feel about things, which creates how you act.
mm.
So your perspective is the foundation of your entire life.
Okay,
Like if you want
explain.
to feel good,
Yeah.
so for example, when it comes to life in general, there's only two perspectives you have: a negative perspective or a positive perspective. That's it, right? Everything we look at, it's either negative energy that we're putting towards it or positive energy that we're putting towards it. There's no in between. And so when you look at coronavirus, for example, if you have a negative perspective of it, and I was talking to a coaching client about this, And we realized, her perspective was either the world's ending or the world's healing. Two completely different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
By the way, we don't know the truth. The world could be ending or it could be healing. We literally have no idea. But whatever you choose to believe, whatever you tell your mind, it's going to believe it. So you might as well tell your mind a story that's going to empower you and make you feel good, not scare the shit out of you.
Because the future isn't real because it hasn't happened yet.
Right. And the only thing that matters is how you feel right now, because how you feel right now changes your vibration and attracts that life to you.
Oh my gosh.
And so you get to choose your perspective on everything in life. It is the greatest gift that we have, is the gift of choice. That's our free will. I can look at coronavirus like the world is ending and this is horrible. Or I can look at it as like, this is the most amazing gift ever. And human beings are waking up and we're becoming more connected. Whatever perspective I choose is going to influence how I feel. And how I feel is going to dictate my actions. So if I choose fear, I'm scared the world's ending, then I'm going to feel anxious, scared, nervous. My actions, I'm staying at home forever.
Yeah. With my $20,000 roll of toilet paper.
Right. And I've got my mask, my hazmat suit, everything. Right. And I won't interact with anyone. Like, I'm even scared to call people because who knows if you get transferred through cell waves or some shit like that. Right. So that's one person. Now, the only thing that makes you act that way is it started with your foundation, your perspective, the world's ending, whatever. Versus the other person, the world.
Before we go there, which has stemmed from, where has someone's perspective stemmed from? Where have they latched onto this influence?
Well, it will always come from your past, your childhood, but the source of it is your identity. Like, your perspective is created from who you believe you are. So the source of perspective
Say that again.
is your identity. So the source of your perspective is your identity, who you believe you are. Who you believe you are influences how you choose to see things. So I believe I'm an entrepreneur. Therefore, I see things. I have a different perspective on work, on money, on opportunity, right? If I wasn't an entrepreneur, then I wouldn't have those perspectives. And so that's when, when I talk about your sheep and your lion, if you believe you're this sheep, which is controlling, insecure, lazy, that's mine, versus my lion, who's courageous, determined, rebellious, bold. Whoever I believe I am is going to influence my perspective. My sheep, because my sheep is scared, is going to see the world's ending. My lion, who's confident, bold, rebellious, all this stuff, is like, this is such an amazing opportunity. This is absolutely incredible. The world is changing, right? But it's like, the source of perspective is who you believe you are.
And then do you believe that, because where I was actually, the answer you gave me was not what I was looking for. You actually gave me a much better answer. The answer I was looking for was, does the media, society, produce what we feel? Because obviously that's where the information is coming from, because they believe from the government, I guess. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, no one can make us feel any way. We make ourselves feel something, because when you watch the news, if you accept it as truth, it will make you feel bad. If you don't, it won't make you feel bad at all. And so
then is there sitting on the fence of being naive and actually taking precaution?
I think it's up to the individual person. Like, everyone has the opportunity to live life however you see fit for you. The thing that I care about, and this is what I coach people on, the only thing that matters is that you make choices that empower you, that energize you, versus disempower you and de-energize you. If it energizes you to go buy a mask and some freaking gloves, go do it. If it empowers you, if it's not coming from fear, but it's coming from love, like, hey, I just want to be safe. I want to protect my body, right? There's nothing wrong with that. If it's coming from, I don't want to die, that's de-energizing, that's disempowering. So this is where your perspectives, they're either empowering you or they're disempowering you. And you get to choose what perspective you're going to have.
Can I share? I'm busting to share those.
Go for it.
And then you can coach me through, and those that are listening and jumping on and rewatching can actually sort of coach themselves through it. So here's a really prime example. Obviously, this coronavirus happened. Me being in the business world, I was tapped into sources where they started to trickle through the coronavirus and the detriment that it's going to have on businesses. So I was like, okay, cool. Which then allowed me to start choosing the way that I started to behave, and I actually started to feel a lot more energized. I remember listening to it, hearing it, feeling the energy behind that this is actually going to be something that's serious, I got excited. I got so excited. I was like, there is going to be change. People are going to wake the F up. We're actually going to choose what is important. And then that led me to a decision which I didn't know would lead me here, which is I was always meant to come home April the 10th. I was going to then shift to April the 1st. Then all of a sudden they put this lockdown of the 14-day, 2-week isolation. So I literally booked my flight on the Sunday. But I chose and I literally sat and I was like, well, what's most important to me right now? Sitting in Sunshine Coast where I have no family, or going home where my man is, the one that I love, and my family, who I love also.
Yes.
And that also energized me. And I literally haven't stopped working. Like, I remember getting on the buzz at T and I was like, Chris, we got to do this.
Yeah. And see, that's because you made that choice coming from love. Now, you could have made the same exact choice coming from fear. Like, I don't want to die alone, or I don't want to be stuck in Australia all alone by myself and the world is ending, right? That could have been a choice where you made it from fear, but you made it from love. I want to be with my family. I want to be with my man. Like, I want to be with people that I love. So you can make the same choice, but where it comes from is what's important. If it comes from fear, you'll attract more things that create fear. If it comes from love, you'll attract more things that create love. So it's that awareness, like, okay, I'm going to make a choice, but is this coming from fear, or is it coming from love? Is it my scared sheep, or is it my bold, confident, courageous lion?
So moving forward, and I just want to make sure that I've got this right, just say yes or no, that to help people find their self-awareness is to literally ask themselves, am I being my sheep or my lion right now?
Totally.
And then starts the awareness, which starts the perspective, which starts the shift, which then stems the behavior.
Yeah. And for me, because I've been doing this for so long, I ask myself, what would my lion do? Like, at least 100 times a day. It is the question that I ask myself more than anything in my life. And I even have, to track everything, I even have my own journal that I created where every day I write down my sheep choices and my lion choices. So I sit down at night and I reflect on every choice I can remember making, and I write down which ones were my sheep and which ones were my lion.
Oh my gosh.
I become really, really self-aware. And the goal is, you only want 51% of your choices to be in alignment with your lion. Because, like in a business, right? Whoever owns 51% of the company controls the company. And in your life, whoever controls 51% of your choices controls your destiny. And so it's like that awareness of who's making my choices right now, you start to wake up from the autopilot, from, just going with the flow. Because you make on average 35,000 choices every single day. 90% of them are on autopilot. So this is like taking back control, because your choices dictate your future.
Because you're choosing through questions.
Yeah. And so building that self-awareness is the biggest thing that humanity needs right now, because most of us were on autopilot. And so you have to find ways that are going to build that self-awareness, because then you start to disconnect from the fear and the mediocrity and all that kind of stuff. And you start to get your control back. You jump off the hamster wheel and you start to actually create a life that really inspires you.
That's extraordinary. Can I just double down on that?
Yeah.
So for all the entrepreneurs that are listening, the business owners, there's a technique that I always bring up, and it's being critical. It's doing criticality with critically thinking through. Now I had criticality isn't something to overthink or overdo. Criticality to me is asking questions. And I coach people through this, and the questions that I get people to ask themselves to start their self-awareness, to start the level of vision, is how can I reach more people? How can I XYZ? And then to complement the how can I, and then what's your vision, and reach my goal of X, Y, and Z, and to live a balanced life. So you're making, you might have the criticality, and what I share with my people is the how can I starts a conversation in your head, and you double down on your goals, your dreams, that you're in the right direction, going in the right path. Which then comes back to the lion and the sheep, and being critical in your action, like the thoughts you think, by actually stepping in with questions to help you become more self-aware.
Yeah. And questions are an amazing thing, because your brain is like addicted to questions. It can't not answer a question. You know,
Ah,
if I ask you today, if I ask you right now how old you are, your mind already answered it. It's like your mind's like, I know the answer. I know the answer. Right? It
yeah, yeah,
always wants to answer questions. So the problem is most people are asking themselves really poor questions.
yeah.
Like, why am I not making enough money? Why am I so
Ah.
unhappy? Why don't I have any energy? Why does the world suck? Why does this? Why does that? Right? They're asking themselves the wrong questions, because whatever question you ask yourself, your mind will answer.
So
So
ask
now,
questions from your line rather than your
yes,
sheet.
yes, ask questions from love rather than fear, you know, from greatness rather than mediocrity. And when you do that, your mind, it will start to generate ideas. The more you ask yourself a question, the more it's going to generate more and more ideas, because it loves questions.
Oh my gosh, so true.
And,
Awesome.
you know, this is like I'll just a quick example of this. Like, my coach taught me that. My first coaching session with him, one of my coaches, he said, you know what, one of your biggest problems is you suck at asking yourself questions. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, your question that you ask yourself more than anything is, how can I get out of my own way? That's a question that I would ask myself. And he's like, first of all, it's so vague. Like, get out of your own way. You can't be in your own way physically. That doesn't even actually make sense. You're asking your mind this vague question. And then he's like, it's a negative based question. You're already
Ah,
stating to your mind that you're in your own way. And so he's like, you need to shift your questions to, how can I more efficiently achieve my goals? You know, how can I get the life of my dreams? How can I do that? But I had spent so much of my life like, how do I get out of my own way? How do I get out of my own way? And my mind was just like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. So I would stay stuck, stuck, stuck.
ah,
Versus, how can I get more stuff done today? How can I get one step closer to achieving my goal? How can I do this? How can I do that? So those powerful, empowering, positive questions versus the negative stuff that's just going to keep you stuck and keep you going in circles,
yes.
and it's just a waste.
Awesome. Double down, those that are watching this, write this down, is shift in perspective by asking better questions. And I
Yes.
hope, and moving forward from this, that you guys take this tip and run with it. Donna said the questions are the answers. What? That is freaking powerful. Ditto. I suck at asking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
Donna.
like the question that I have all the people that I coach ask themselves is, if I was being my greatest self, or if I was being my lion, what would I do? And like
Yeah.
they get this journal, right? So there's a morning section, there's an evening section, and the number one question they have to ask themselves every morning is this, which is, if I was being my lion, what is one action that I would take today to bring me one step closer to my goal? Then they write
Ah.
it down on a sticky note, they peel this off, and they put it on their phone, right? But it gets them in
Ah.
that mindset of, if I was being my greatest self, what would I do today?
Yeah.
Versus, do I have time to go to the gym today? Or what am I going to have for dinner? It's like, if I was stepping into
Yes.
my greatness, if I was being the total badass that I was born to be, what's one thing that I would do today?
Yes.
And it completely shifts their focus. It shifts their direction that they're going in. It shifts their energy, everything, because now right away they start to see themselves as their greatest self, as this inner lion, this
Mm.
person that comes from love and courage and focus and power, versus fear and scarcity and, you know, all these other things.
Mm.
And so right now, so many
Mm.
people, they're just reacting, right? They're watching the news, they're believing it. And so they're like, I should do what they're doing because everyone's doing it. If they actually stopped and asked themselves, if I was being the greatest version of myself, that total badass that I know I can be, what would I actually do today? And I bet most of them would do something completely opposite to what they were.
Yeah. This call that that I budgeted 30 minutes.
Uh-huh.
We're almost gone for an hour. So
Damn, I thought it was
which
like maybe
does
25 minutes.
oh my gosh, which doesn't surprise me because I know whenever we chat, it's always such a good conversation. So I should have
Yeah,
I should have budgeted for an hour.
you should, yeah, that's all good.
So what is one hot tip or trick throughout? Has there anything that's come up that you can leave with us to start implementing today to move forward?
Is it like a tip around what's going on in the world right now, or any tip in general? Like, what would be most powerful, do you think?
I would say what's going on right now to give people the hope to keep moving forward.
Got it. I would say that, I mean, when I look at how I'm dealing with this, it's all perspective. And so the tip that I would say is, how can you look at this in a way that's going to actually make you feel empowered?
Mm.
Like, how can you shift your perspective today, right here, right now, just a little bit to actually make you feel good about this rather than bad about it? You can still buy your gloves, you can still buy your toilet paper, you can still stay at home, but stay at home feeling happy, feeling joyful, feeling loved. And, you know, just shift your perspective a little bit. Just ask yourself, how can I see this differently? That's it. Or how can I see this in a way that's actually going to make me feel good? You don't have to believe it, you know, you don't have to act on it, but you'll realize when you shift your perspective just a little bit and you start to actually feel good about what's going on, it completely changes everything. It changes how you act. And, you know, it's crazy. Like, my perspective on this is totally different than, you know, it's just like, it's so in a different realm right now. So I'm going out, I'm walking in the park and everything. And I realize I'm finding my people. I'm finding my tribe. It's like, these are all people where they're like, I'm not afraid. Like, I'm good. Like, this is great. They all have the same perspective. So if you allow yourself to shift your perspective a little bit and see the good in this, see the light in this, then it will change your emotional state, which will then change your actions. And, you know, that changes everything. So how can you change your perspective just a little bit on it? You know, because your mind will ask, how can I see this positively? How can I see this as a good thing? If you just ask yourself that one question, how can I see this as a good thing? Then you're good to go.
Cool. Can I double down on that?
Yeah.
Question that I come up with is, how can I empower people to keep moving forward in their business? How can I inspire and encourage more people?
Totally.
Oh, I love it.
And
Chris?
one other, can I give you a second tip?
Yeah, go on.
I give it to one of my coaching clients. So when it comes to all this stuff, right, there's all this media, there's everyone saying something about it, right? So when I was talking to one of my coaching clients, I told her, I said, you have 3 options, right? So you can watch all the negative stuff, watch the news, read the negative articles, all the bad stuff, which is going to make you feel bad. You could watch all the good stuff, you know, watch the positive videos about people in Italy singing on their balconies and, you know, all the good stuff about it, read all the good articles, all the good Facebook posts, which is going to make you feel good. Or you can watch none of it. You don't read anything. You don't click on any articles. You don't talk to anyone about it. You just completely disconnect from it. And so for the people that are watching, decide what you're going to do. You're either going to do all the negative stuff, focus on the negative stuff, focus on the positive stuff, or focus on none of it. And whatever you choose, you've only got 3 options. Whatever you choose is going to dictate how you feel, and it's going to dictate your actions, and it is altering your future. You got to make a choice. Am I going to read all the bad stuff, read all the good stuff, or read none of it? For me, I've chosen to read none of it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how many people have it. I don't know anything like that. And I also don't care, because I get to choose my perspective on life and how I'm choosing life. Like, this is the most beautiful I've ever seen life in my entire life.
Yeah.
It is incredible. And I believe that people are getting closer. They're becoming more connected, that people are waking up. They're having to go home and be alone and really contemplate. They can only watch a certain amount of Netflix before their mind's just like, we're done. Right?
Yeah.
So they have to be with themselves. They have to reflect on their lives. Like, we've been on a hamster wheel most of our lives. The hamster wheel has just stopped.
Yeah.
And for most people, that's going to be really uncomfortable, but it's also going to be really, really enlightening and powerful. And so, you know, it's like, you have a choice though. Fill your mind with bad shit and feel like shit. Fill your mind with good shit and feel amazing, or fill your mind with nothing and you get to choose. So pick one. It's super simple.
You're amazing, Chris. Awesome. Donna says, thank you guys, amazing, can't wait to watch the replay. To so many more tips, love. Awesome, Donna, thank you so much for your love and support as always. We will wrap it up there. Chris, if people want to find out more about you, where do they go? What support groups have you got for people to help them move forward?
So I have a Facebook group. That would be the best thing to do. It's called 8 Billion Lions. Cool. And that's the best place for them to connect and surround themselves with people who have a very similar perspective on life that I do, where, you know, they're focused on being the greatest version of themselves and, you know, being their lion and positive, empowering energy and lifting each other up and really supporting each other. So 8 Billion Lions. 8
Billion Lions, everyone. I'm going to drop that inside as I send out this email, and I will drop it on the Facebook as well, so people can watch the replay and everything else. So,
oh wait, I have to
Okay,
say
one
this.
more.
It
Okay,
just hit me.
go.
So just on perspective, this ties it all together, right?
Yeah, go.
So the name of my group is 8 Billion Lions. The name of my personal development brand is 8 Billion Lions, because that is the vision of the company. It's the vision of the world, is that we're living in a world where everyone is choosing to be their greatest version of themselves, all 8 billion of us.
Yeah.
And so that's the name of it, because that's the vision. I'm so excited about coronavirus because I believe this is the start to that vision. This is the start to people waking up so they can start to choose their greatness, and that we live in a world where everyone is choosing to be the greatest version of themselves.
So
So
true.
that's the perspective. That's my ultimate perspective, which is why I'm so excited for everything
Yeah.
that's going on, because it's like, this is the start of a revolution. This is a movement that is going to change the world, and there are going to be 8 billion lions walking around on this planet.
Oh,
All right.
perfect. I'm
I
so
won't say
glad you've
anything
ended
else.
on that.
Okay.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I'll chat with you
You
later
always love
on.
me and leave me.
I
All
know,
right.
but I always come back to you.
That's true.
Okay, see you, Chris.
All right. See ya.
Bye.